Shalom everybody.
Shalom.
This is Bez and Zemira from I Did It Wrong Again. This is Bez.
I'm Zemira Israel, and this is the Love and Law podcast.
Right, this time you ain't even got your headphones in.
This is great. Yes, so the last podcast, the
So we are continuing on our topic of 10 lessons on 10 years of marriage.
All praise to the Most High.
The last podcast we did about 4 of the lessons, or
We did 2, so
Right.
we've been doing 2 lessons each episode so far. So now we're on lesson 5 and 6.
Right. So 5 and 6. What does it say here? It says,
Well, first of all, I just want to say we're trying to get these episodes in once a week, but the way our business is set up,
it's like our debit cards.
it's a lot going on with the businesses, so it's been taking up a lot of our time. So I appreciate all those who've been waiting for the podcast, and we're trying to get them out to you as fast as possible and once a week. But just be patient with us if it's like a little late. So we're gonna just do our best to be as consistent as possible. But we appreciate the love we've been getting so far, and the comments and everything. We love it.
Yeah, hit us with questions if anything. We'll be glad to answer them.
Questions, comments, anything you want us to talk about, all that good stuff. I feel like there's is this just me, or is this like an echo?
Nah, there's no echo. There's like a little buzzing sound, but hopefully it's not coming out in the audio.
Okay.
Nonetheless, proceed. The next thing on our list is protect your household from outside influences.
It's in 5.
Right. With that one, we got a scripture to go with that. It's Sirach 37 and 12. So let me get that real quick. Proximity search. That's not what I want. I want citation search. So it's Sirach. That is full law of Jesus, wisdom of the Son of Jesus. 37
and 12.
and 12.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Did they change that?
No, it's always been there. Yep. So let's get this. Did you want me to read it?
Of course.
All right. It says Sirach 37 and 12. But be continually with a godly man whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. Interesting. That one accompanied with Psalms.
I like the next verse as well.
All right, I'll pull that up.
This is about protecting your household from outside influences.
Right, so that would be what, 13? And it says, and let the counsel of thine heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. For a man's mind is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above an high tower. And above all this, pray to the Most High that he would direct thy way in truth. Interesting.
Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
Yep, that is very true. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
Nice words.
Right. So, that going with the topic of protect your house from outside influences, it means that you gotta trust your instincts, basically, is what it's saying. That's why it says, let reason go before every counsel, it says 13, and let the counsel of thy own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. So when you get outside influences or someone outside your house telling you things that make you uncomfortable, or deep down inside you feel some kind of way, you need to listen to it. Like, don't ignore that, because that internal instinct you have is going to protect you when it comes to you dealing with your marriage and your family. So, that's what it's telling us to do. And a lot of times people ignore that. They ignore that and they go and listen to their mom. They go and listen to their dad. They go and listen to their best friend. And sometimes you just got to listen to what your insides are saying. And don't ignore that to listen to somebody on the outside because you want to impress them. You want to, keep him as a friend or whatever. You gotta listen to your instincts when it comes to things in your house.
Yeah. And I like how it says, like, be continually with a godly man or a godly woman whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord. So if they're keeping the commandments, whatever counsel they're going to give you is going to be according to the scriptures, according to the commandments. So, that's above all. So if they're coming out of the book, definitely listen to that. But if they're not, and it's like, feels a little wrong, like you said, like the instinct is off, then yeah, second guess it and see if it's of scripture, if it's based off of scripture.
Yeah, every counsel that you get from outside, if you get counsel from outside, you and your wife or whatever, if it's not leading y'all to come closer together, if it's not leading you to preserve your marriage and to establish your relationship with your spouse, it's not good for you. There should be nobody counseling you, telling you, convincing you, or guiding you to separate from your wife as far as like divorce her or to, oh, she ain't worth being with you or any of these things. Because once you come together with your wife, you are one flesh. You come together, you are one person now. So anything that comes in between that is literally trying to kill your relationship or kill that one person you become. It's like murder. So you want to watch out for the red flags when it comes to that and don't ignore it.
Ooh.
Not ignore it. I don't care if they come with double fringes. They got the fringes, the tassels. They got the double borders of blue. They've been in the truth for 30 years, 40 years, 50, 100. I don't care. It don't matter. Whatever is coming to sever your marriage is not godly. It's not godly.
And like for sisters, like if you find yourself married and then you can't or you don't feel comfortable speaking to your husband about certain things, definitely pray about it. Like that scripture said, like above all, pray to the Most High in verse 15, because you don't want to find yourself going outside of your marriage to man to man to man. Once you start seeing like it's multiple men you're finding counsel from instead of your husband, that's when you know it's like a red flag. And that's when you know you need to pray about it, maybe fast about it. Because if you don't feel comfortable with your husband, that's the problem. And you should tell him. You should tell him, like, be brutally honest in a kind, this way that you can, and say, when I bring this up to you, or when I talk to you about this, I don't feel comfortable coming to you first, or I don't feel like you'll receive it, or maybe you feel like he'll blow up, or maybe you feel like, he'll look at it a certain way. But truth will set you free. So do your best to be brutally honest. And like pray about how you're going to bring it to him too, especially if you feel like you're on eggshells talking to your husband. I mean, that's sad if you feel that way, but I think there's certain topics I believe we had where we were honest with each other and said, when I bring this up, you take it a certain way or you blow up, and you kind of foresee it being like a bad thing towards the end of the conversation. But as long as you talk it out and be truthful about how you feel, that other person, your spouse, should definitely listen to you and at least consider your thoughts and emotions about a certain topic, because you don't want to find yourself again going outside the marriage to multiple men, because who knows, maybe that other man wants you for himself, or maybe they'll counsel you outside of your marriage for whatever reason. If there's no domestic violence, there's no craziness happening, there's really nothing that could be not solved in a marriage. So definitely protect your household by trying to contain your issues within the marriage and let your spouse be like the number one counselor.
Well, I mean, a sister shouldn't be running to no man outside the marriage for counsel anyway. Like, that's what your sisters are for, right? That reverence should be going to your husband. Why? Because when you start looking to another man for guidance, you've already separated yourself from your husband being your guide, being your hedge. You're not looking towards another man for that guidance and stuff like that. It's like that's not what the scripture tells you to do. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you some on how you're supposed to do it. Okay. This is in Ephesians. No, it's in Ephesians 4. No, I'm sorry. Coupled with fear, without the law. All right, with fear. No, it's in Ephesians. Oh, all right. It's First Peter 3. All right. This is why I said that. that you shouldn't really be going to a man outside your marriage for counsel, sisters. You should be going to your husband. If there's things that y'all having issues with and you're having trouble on like talking with him about it, you have to go to the Lord in prayer, pray on it, and then you have to examine yourself on how you approach him about it, right? Not that you can't approach him, you should approach him, but it's all about finesse. So I'm gonna read this to you. So it's 1 Peter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands. Why? Because it's real easy for sisters to start subjecting themselves to men outside the household. When you start doing that, you've already put a dent in your marriage. Your subjection needs to be to your husband, not to your pastor, not to your deacon leadership, none of that. That reverence is because of the covenant of marriage. That reverence goes to your husband. You bypass the covenant of marriage when you bring that reverence to another man. So that subjection says here, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word. So for example, if he's over here not doing things according to the scriptures how he's supposed to, I'm not saying that he's out here praying to a cross or anything like that. You have an Israelite man, you have an Israelite marriage. I'm talking to y'all sisters. And if, let's say, the man is going off, maybe he's emotional, maybe he's dealing with anger, maybe he's dealing with stress, whatever it may be. It says, if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. So how is a man going to be won by the conversation if you're, coming at him? You're aggressive in your approach. Your demeanor is not right, right? You come at him emotionally. So you got to examine yourself. Now, I'm not saying if you're right, let's say, it could be a million different things, but let's say you're 100% right, sis, on whatever it is the issue is about. You have the right answer, the solution, whatever it may be. Maybe he's not listening to you. It's all about finesse. It's all about your conversation. That's what it's telling you here in 1 Peter 3, that he may be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. So he's going to be seeing your conversation, your approach, and how you're showing you have fear of the Lord. You're worried about the outcome. And maybe he's not. Maybe he's stuck in his emotions and anger, frustration, whatever it may be. He sees that clarity that you have, right? And that's been our situation many a times where it's like me, I'll be moving haste. I'll be like, I'm ready to flip. And my wife come and she'll talk to me, right? And she'll come to me with reason, and she'll do it in a way where I'm just listening to her like, okay, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about it the way you're seeing it. And it'll make me pause and think about it. And then next thing you know, she was right. She saw it where I couldn't see it because I'm in my emotions. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm ready to flip out. I'm ready to knock somebody out. And she'll be that reason, right? So it says here, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of plaiting of the hair and the wearing of the gold and the putting on of apparel. So it's not about how fly the sister is. It's not about whatever she got on or the outward. It says in verse 4, but let it be the hidden man of the heart. So in other words, when you subject yourselves to someone outside the house, you've already went the wrong way. When the man is not listening, or if he's, when I say listening, meaning it's not like you're the head of the household, he has to listen to you. No, it's about partnership. It's about you're his helpmeet. So if he's in a situation where his mind is not in the right place, it's not for you to go outside and try to get somebody else to come and correct him. That's not what it's about. This here is your job. That's what the scripture is telling you. You have the tools.
That comes off a little disrespectful to y'all too, like when a woman comes and tries to bring another man to try to correct you.
Oh yeah, it's belittling. It's belittling, right? It's like an attack on a man's cojones and his manhood, right? So it says here, let it be the hidden man of the heart. So that hidden man of the heart is Christ. So the same way the man has Christ in him, y'all have Christ in you too. The same way the man is dealt with in the spirit, y'all get dealt with in the spirit too. It's just there's an order to it, right? The man is the head of the household, as you read in 1 Corinthians 11. So let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a what? Meek and quiet spirit. So it's not about berating him. It's not about getting loud with him. It's not about arguing him down, showing that you could be the more aggressive, the more louder, anything like that. No, it says that he beholds your chaste conversation coupled with fear. He needs to see the fear of God in you. Like, he might be, in his emotions and his anger, but when he looks at you, he sees how fearful you are of the Lord and the consequences that could come. And it makes him think, like, hold up. If she's this scared, she's worried about this situation that much. Let me take a step back and think about it. So it says here, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which that is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. You see that? You see how valuable that is? That demeanor, that conduct, that the way you approach and the way you are in subjection to your husband, it is a great price to God. Even Solomon said that, he ain't seen not one righteous woman in 1,000 women. So it's a rarity, basically, when you're able to conduct yourself in that manner. It's a rarity. It's not weakness. It's not you aren't strong. It's not that at all. It's actually strength. When you're able to control yourself and refocus that energy on fearing God and the consequences of the matter, and then saying, you know what, I might be mad at my husband. I might not like what he's doing or saying, whatever. But I'm going to show him that I keep the commandments by reverencing him and honoring him and still being in subjection to him. And it might take a day or two, a week, a month, whatever, but the man will see it and he'll come around. He'll come around. Then it says, for after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in God, you see, trusted in God. You got to believe there's a God. You have to trust that he will step in the matter, that he will change the heart of the husband. And it's not going to be you going out and talking to this person and that person and this deacon and that brother and dun, and you thinking you're going to gang them all up on your man to get him to hear you. That does not work out well for anybody.
That's sad. And you know what? That's definitely sad that it has to come to that point. But also, I encourage my brothers, like, if you see your wife doing that, examine that as well, because you have to question, why does she feel so comfortable going to multiple men concerning our marriage? You have to start, like, sit her down and really try to reason with her, like, what is it that you can't come to me only? What am I doing wrong? Like, maybe you guys could come to some kind of understanding, because these are red flags that you have to address, you know, both ways. It takes two. So to work things out. So if you see your wife doing that, you got to examine yourself as well. Why is my wife not able to come to me about these matters? So it's both ways. It's a marriage. So both of y'all need to examine why y'all doing that.
Yeah.
What also reminds me is Queen Esther, Hadassah. I know she didn't like that title at all. So Hadassah, Judith, even that lady that wanted to forgot her name.
Boy, she was in a problem.
Well, I'd say most of our foremothers and foresisters knew how to be tactical in their feminine wiles, like to get not necessarily their way, but the Most High's will. Like with Esther, she made a whole thing about it. Like she asked, even though the king was, heathen, she still was tactical about how she moved to get what she needed to get done for the nation. And so, she did this dinner. She made sure there was some dinner, invited him to dinner, sat him down, and didn't even say nothing at the dinner. But, just the way she moved allowed for the king to move into her instead of her trying to chase and nag and belittle and talk. Like, she moved in a way where he was drawn to her to be able to, like, what do you want? What do you think? And that's how,
he saw her faint. He was like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah, she got
what
theatrical.
Can I do? Not saying faint. Don't be like, "Oh, you're not listening to me. Oh, you're faint."
I mean, that sounds like an Israelite woman. Very dramatic. I mean, she could have really been scared, though. It's the whole king. She didn't have the scepter.
You get upset and pass out. That's
well, she could have really been scared because she didn't have the permission to even go to the king. She kind of just barged in there without the king summoning her. Right. So she probably was really scared, like, he could kill me right now for not. So who knows? I don't know if she was being theatrical or if she was really scared, but it could have been both.
Well, I mean, they were Persian, so that's kind of like the Arabs today. Like, you see how they are women.
Yeah, they're
Hey, don't
crazy.
play. So imagine you
Crazy.
going in there, you pulling off your veil, you like, you better listen to me, cause my people.
She would have been done.
Yeah.
But because she had that, just that pattern of, like, he was intrigued by her from the beginning. So just just that, and her name, she had a good name in the palace. Even the Mordecai, I mean not Mordecai, the guy that was overseeing the women, she just had a good name in there, and so that preceded her to the point where when she fainted, he was just like, "What's going on? Let me help this girl."
No, he was like, something's wrong. She do if this happening, something's got to be wrong,
Yeah.
and he cared about her enough to tone down his kingship to see what he could do for her. So, like another one's a good one is Abigail. How Nabal disrespected King David after King David, sold the olive branch and helped him with his cattle and made sure his wealth, which is your animals and your cattle is your wealth. He protected his money, and in return, Nabal entreated him with evil. And King David was like, "I'm gonna go kill this fool." And so Abigail just took initiative, right? And that's what you got to take away from that. Sometimes women want to take initiative off the littlest thing, right? And kind of go around the husband. It took an army of men on the way to kill their family for Abigail to then go around her husband. And even when she did it in a sense of resolution. She resolved the situation by bringing what David asked for ahead of them reaching the house, right? Her and her servants like prepared food, supplies, and left with all that stuff on camels and all that, or donkeys. Didn't say nothing to her husband. She took initiative, right? It says the scripture says, "Love thy neighbor as you love yourself." She took initiative to apply that when the ball did it. So she was keeping the commandments in the process. And even when it was all said and done, she didn't go back and curse him out. She didn't go back and belittle him, berate him, raise her voice to him. He was hanging out with his boys and she didn't bother him. She waited until the next day to then tell him what happened out of respect. So there's levels to it. And a lot of times, some sisters will go from 1 to 10, right? They'll go to fifth gear quick. And that's where you have to apply the scriptures, where it says here that he behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. That was what Abigail did. When he saw her chaste conversation and he saw the fear in her and what he dodged, the scripture tells you the Most High made his heart fail. He had a heart attack and died. He just dropped dead from the scare of what could have happened to him. So she got freed from that, from that situation regardless. But nonetheless, the point is that you have to protect both of you, husband and wife. You have to protect yourselves from outside influences, outside toxicity, outside false teachings, outside family pressure, all these things that can be detrimental to your marriage, especially if you want longevity in your marriage. Yeah, you can get some wise sayings from your mama who's been married for 30, 40 years. Okay, cool. If it aligns with scripture, great. She got good advice. But if it don't align with scripture, take it with a grain of salt. Just because she got 30 years of marriage don't mean that it's a great marriage. Why? Because unless it's rooted in the scriptures, and it's not of the Lord, really, in the sense of it's going to be great advice. The greatest advice you could take is out of this Bible, and that should be your foundation, and that's a strong foundation. What was Psalms 1:1? What did that say? Did I get that?
And like wives, like if your friends are all single women, also examine that, because iron sharpens iron. Get with sisters who are also married too, who you think they're doing great in their marriage. Because sometimes if your friends are only single sisters, they might not have that experience to really counsel, or counsel you in a way where it'll benefit your marriage,
Like conflict
like
resolution.
like yeah, like an already married sister would be able to. And that reminds me of the scripture that in Sirach about like who you counsel. Like, don't counsel with I'm gonna butcher it, but like a non,
A person that's yeah, you have to know the needs of a counselor
that
before you
one.
counsel with them. Like
Yeah.
you counsel with a single sister about your marriage, that is
Yeah.
that is not good, because she could be looking at your relationship in envy because she don't have that relationship. She don't have a relationship with somebody.
That's possible.
Yeah. Or, that's what that scripture's talking about. You got to know the needs of a person before you counsel with them.
I definitely want to read that after you read this one.
Yeah, so Psalms 1:1 says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." So someone scornful, let's look at the word scornful real quick. So someone that's scornful is feeling or expressing contempt or derision, full of contempt, withering, mocking. So, for example, brother, you go sit in the counsel of the man who hates his wife. That is not the counsel you want. Now, how do you know a man hates his wife, right? Don't mean that he's like beating her up in front of everybody, but you can tell that a man hates his wife when she comes around as stress. There's something negative. There's nothing positive that comes out his mouth about his wife. He doesn't ever express how he loves her. Snickers every time she's present or shows up or something. We've seen it before, like, oh, they call her the old ball and chain, right? That is not a happy marriage, right? A person who's happily married, their wife is their best friend. I mean, that's the brother you see where you like share some food with him or serve him a plate of food and you like, you're not going to finish it? And he's like, nah, want to take some to my wife. She got to try this. That's how you little things like that. You can see that a brother really loves his wife and that they have a good relationship. That's the person you could take advice from. When a man is hiding in his car to not share his food with his wife because he going to go in that car and eat it up before he go in the house because he don't want to share with nobody, that brother is scornful. That brother is not a happily married man. So that is not the man you want to take counsel from.
Or he's just miserable.
Or just miserable, right?
You don't want to talk to somebody who's miserable.
Right. And the scripture tells you, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Mind you, this is King David writing this, as a song. That means that's how it was amongst the Israelites when they were at the height of their kingdom. There's a lot of them that were scornful, keeping the commandments, going to the temple, giving sacrifices, keeping the laws, wearing their fringes, but they were still scornful people. They were still ungodly. A lot of them were sinners. So even Christ said it. He said, Moses suffered you to give your wives a bill of divorce. So there were always men looking to get out of their marriages in them old days while they were, quote unquote, in the truth, right? So you gotta watch that happen.
I don't really hear you in here.
It's picking me up.
It is?
Yeah,
okay.
That's picking me up.
I'm sorry.
I see it in the feed.
Because I'm hearing like...
Yeah, that's just that's that piece of equipment right there. It's acting weird. Getting old.
Okay.
What was I saying? Right. So blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. So again, before you take any advice from a man that is married, make sure that you see that they have a happy marriage, that they have success in their marriage, because you're not going to get good advice. You're not going to get advice that's going to help you better your marriage if they are not able to better their marriage. And that's basically it. That's the simplest way I could put it, right? So, what is the next part?
The scripture about counseling. I don't know how that goes.
Know the needs of a counselor? Was that it?
Like it talks about like counsel with a woman that is jealous.
Oh, that's another one.
That one. It's like a whole thing, a whole paragraph.
Jealous. How you spell jealous?
Jealous.
Right. That one's in Proverbs, I think. Should be. No. Right.
Well, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
E7. I think the verse 1 is through 11.
Right. This is a good one for you sisters right here. You want me to read it? You want to start at 10?
Right here. Beware of a counselor.
Right.
Every counselor.
Right.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So this is the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, verse 8.
Verse 7 is good too.
Verse 7. Yeah, keep going up. All right, so this is verse 7. It says, every counselor exalteth counsel. So every counselor is like, let me extolleth. Let me make sure I don't butcher this. Let's look up the word extolleth. Extolleth means, it's not the definition.
Maybe extol.
Extolleth is the third person singular present tense from the verb extol, which means to praise highly, glorify someone or something. Right. So every counselor is basically boastful in their counsel. Like, oh, I'm a great counselor. I have all this experience, right? And so every counselor is proud to be a counselor. Like, oh yeah, come to me and listen to me, and this is what I got to offer. Right? It says, but there is some that counseleth for himself, and I've seen that before. I've seen um example, I seen a sister who came in keeping the commandments and learning and trying to follow the scriptures, and the husband wasn't trying. The husband was just like, nah, I'm not with that quote unquote Israelite stuff and whatever. And she was getting counsel from a brother in the congregation, and then I don't know how or when, where, what, but eventually within like 2 or 3 months, she's divorced and now she's with the counselor. Now she's dating the counselor. That looks horrible. That looks horrible. So that's a good example of there's a counselor for himself. So for example, it could be you go to the counselor about selling a car, and the counselor needs a car. So now he's counseling you on selling it at a low price. Next thing you know, he once you set it at a low price, he's like, I'll buy it from you. You get it? So you gotta know the needs of a counselor before you counsel with them. That's why it's not good to counsel with someone who's single. Why? Because they need friends. They need companionship. And that companionship could be needing you to be single so you can have time to be around them. So you don't want to counsel with single people. It says, every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself, lest he cast a lot upon thee. Cast a lot meaning cast like a bet, or a price on you. In other words, he's going to benefit from the situation. The counselor is counseling so they can benefit from the counsel that they're giving you. That's a horrible situation to put yourself in. Why? Because you go into the counselor in vulnerability. You go into them opening up about your situation or whatever it is. And not knowing the needs of that person, you're just opening yourself up to be taken advantage of. And you could make it just too enticing to where it's like the counselor might not even have had that intention, but you just like you're like a juicy looking deer going to a lion, right? And he's hungry. He can't help it. That's his nature right there, right? He's gonna eat you up. It says here, and say unto thee, this is what the counselor is gonna say unto you. Thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side.
Oh shoot.
So in other words, he's telling you, nah, go ahead, go that way. But then he's standing on the other side when he's not going that way.
He's not gonna go with you.
He's not gonna go with you. He's letting you go. You fall off the edge of the freaking cliff. And he's there looking down like, oh, I'll take his bags and stuff. He don't need that no more.
Oh my God.
So it says, beware of the counselor and know before what need he have. For he will counsel him for himself, lest he cast a lot upon thee, and say unto thee, that way is good. And afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. That's like we stuck in the woods and we got limited supplies, and you have the book bag with all the goodies in it, and we're trying to figure out how to get across this bridge that looks like crap. And my counsel to you is like, hey, I'll hold your bag and you go across the bridge, and then once you get on the other side, I'll throw you the bag and then I'll come across. And then he convinces you to do it, and you start walking across this bridge, and he's standing there holding the bag. All of a sudden, the bridge collapses, and you die. And he's there now. He got the bag that he wanted. He stood there watching what happens to you, and what happened, and watch you fall. So it says in verse 10, counsel not with one that suspecteth thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. So if you know someone is a bit envious towards you, and if you can't tell, you need to really examine that person. You can always tell when someone's envious of you when you talk about something like, for example, you have a great idea and you share it with them and it upsets them or bothers them, or they have a negative response, or won something or got something that benefits you and they're not really happy for you, right? All they do is talk about the negative things that can happen and all this stuff, and like basically kill your dream. That's a bit of an envious spirit, right? Because when you care about somebody, you want to see them win, and you want to exhort them to win. So it says here, counsel not with one that's expected of thee, and hide thy counsel from from such as envy thee. And this is for the women. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous. So, for example, you counsel with a sister. You got some advice from a sister. But yet, the advice from the sister is about another sister that she's actually jealous of. The scripture tells you don't do that because you're not going to get nothing good out of that counsel. You're just gonna get that person to express their jealousy. It says, neither with a coward in matters of war. That's a great example. You don't talk about war tactics with someone who's scared, nor with a merchant concerning exchange. You don't talk to a businessman who buys, everything to resell it about what price should you sell this thing for. I deal in service business, right? I build websites for people. I design for people. I remember one time I was talking to a relative about, I was asking him, hey, these services that I do, what should I charge for it? Just to see what he say, kind of test this out a bit. And I knew he was going to lowball. I knew he was going to come with a really low price. You know why? Because that's what he would want to pay me to get the services. Meanwhile, he knows the services I provide are top tier, high price. So he threw the lowest number out there that it was insulting. I was like, are you serious? Even his own wife was like, damn. Are you going to really try to pay someone that does the level of quality of work that he does that little bit of money? He shrugged it off by turning it into a joke, laughing. Oh, I was just playing. No, he wasn't playing. That was very serious.
There's truth in every joke.
There's truth. It says here, nor with a buyer of selling. So you don't counsel with someone who's a buyer about selling things, nor with an envious man of thankfulness, nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness. So if you know someone has zero mercy, they ready to drop the sword on everybody. You don't counsel with them about showing mercy and kindness to somebody because you're not going to get it out of it, nor if the slothful of any work. So if someone's lazy, don't talk to them about putting in hard work of something because they're going to try to avoid that. Should I keep going?
Yeah, the envious man of thankfulness, because the envious person, they're less likely to be grateful, like have a grateful heart, a thankful heart. There's always going to be some kind of pessimism, some kind of just always looking at stuff the wrong way instead of looking at it in a thankful or grateful way. So you have to, if you're trying to get counsel from that person about, something, try to just beware, like verse 8 says, beware of that counselor and see what need he or she has of thee. Yes.
I like the rest of it. It says, nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work. They're going to try to make that year be 2 years because they're the hireling, right? They need hours. They need the job to continue. So they're not going to try to finish it quick.
Dang.
It says, nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel. See that?
Oh, that was like right before.
Yeah, but be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
That's cool how it was right before what we read earlier.
Right. Yeah. So, when you with someone who's godly, they'll examine themselves in these situations and know what these scriptures say and avoid being put in this situation. Right. So, and if a man is godly, he'll be like, listen, don't counsel with me about that because I'm in need right now, or I'm in this, or I'm in that. They know what the scriptures say. They know that, don't counsel with me about that. Like, for example, if I'm failing in stock trading and you come to me to counsel me about stocks, I'll be like, listen, I'm not the one to counsel with about that right now because I'm messing up myself. I'm going to give you bad advice because I'm my own advice to myself. I'm messing up. But that takes an honest man of God to be able to be upfront like that. So that's why the scripture tells you in certain matters, you got to counsel with yourself inside instincts. You got to go with your instincts. Go with your instincts and pray to the Lord, and he will direct thy paths. I talked a lot.
No, you did great. Yeah, so just pray. Like, there's many times where I prayed for certain things because I feel like it wasn't going my way, which, was probably, it was like no specific scripture about it, but I knew it was more beneficial. And I just would pray about it. And when I realized when I would just give up and be like, okay, Most High, I need your help because it's not working the way I'm doing it. And then down the line, sometime later, I'll see and realize, oh wow, Most High really did answer my prayer. And you don't even realize it till after the fact. And so sometimes you just gotta be patient. If you can't get it done yourself, pray. But yeah, that's lesson 5. Protect your household from outside stuff. And it's beautiful because the scriptures show you how to protect yourself with this wisdom that was just brought out from the scriptures. So,
And don't confuse it with the scripture that says, lean not into thy own understanding. That is talking about learning about God's ways and his word and Christ. That's totally different than what we read about standing on the counsel of your heart, like just going with your instincts. That it tells you it's better. Your instincts is like the person sitting on a tower that can see something coming far off, and it's like, okay, I gotta move accordingly. It's something totally different. Don't confuse the two, because somebody might pull that other scripture and be like, no, you can't be leaning on your own understanding. Standing and your own instincts is two different things. Understanding is you learning about things. You trying to open up the scriptures and understand certain things that you don't know the history about, you ain't read up on it, so forth and so on. That's different than you get bad vibes from somebody. Your instincts is telling you like, nah, don't trust them.
it be that small, still voice. Sometimes you gotta tap in. You know, sometimes I'll test my instinct too. Like, I'll just play like Russian roulette. Like even with the business that we have, like sometimes I'll feel a certain way about a client. And, you know, the risk is not that great. So I go ahead and do the thing that I want to do. And then I see at the end if my instincts were right or not. Yeah, but you know, that's just
And then
kind
you
of
get that background check.
yes, and it's always the people that have a lot to say. Like we're learning a lot about people in our businesses,
Oh yeah.
dealing with folks, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of shady folks out there, and the patterns are so blatant. Like they'll have a whole sob story for you. They'll like talk with like a lot about their sad story and everything. And I tell you, like 90% of the time, they always give us drama at the end.
Right. It's 'cause they're,
90%.
they're perpetual at making bad decisions, and those bad decisions is what got them into their situation that they're in. Yeah, it's just I be smelling them. I be telling my wife like that one's gonna be a problem.
And then you know we're both like this. We're both always trying to give the benefit of the doubt. We're both trying to help brothers and sisters out. But it's like we're just learning, and sometimes we learn the hard way, and we pay
And
for it
cost
to this
money.
day monthly
Yep.
for their bad choices and everything. But you live, you learn, and you just gotta like with business. You gotta not be cutthroat, but you gotta know your standards and stick to it because people will always try to lower your standards and then mess you over at the end.
And what's sad is the drama be coming from our own
Oh,
people.
I'd be
That's the
crying
that that's the
sometimes.
heartening part, is that
I'd be literally
the
crying.
drama comes from your own people, and the people that are of another nation be
Oh,
dealing right with you. It's so sad, but we under these curses, so we understand that.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it for this lesson.
Well, that's funny because the next lesson for the next episode is about business and marriage.
Okay, we'll get to that, but this has been 50 minutes already, so
Okay.
this is good enough. All right. With that, we say shalom, and I hope you got something from this lesson on protect your household from outside influences. And this has been Bez and
Zemira.
for Love and Law. Until next time,
We love
shalom.
y'all. Shalom.